QRC community, good evening and welcome. My name is Nicole Salvador, and it is indeed my pleasure this evening, on behalf of the PTA executives, to host this PTA interview with our principal, Mr. David Simon, where we will make every effort to give answers to the many questions I'm sure everyone has concerning the physical reopening of school next Monday, the 8th of February, and the college's online learning approach and policies. To ensure that we make efficient use of our time this evening, I will quickly run through how this evening's session will proceed. Some parents have sent pre-submitted questions to the PTA prior to today's session. These and some of the PTA executive questions will be addressed by Mr. Simon. Then, we will take questions posted by parents in the live chat. Parents are asked to only post questions that the college administration is capable of addressing in the chat, and avoid having discussions unrelated to this evening's meeting. Once all questions have been answered, we will then bring the session to a close. The PTA hopes that this online meeting will bring a greater understanding as to how the college will function as a virtual college and provide quality online education to our sons. We will now begin this evening's session. Mr. Simon, welcome.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to the entire QRC community. I want to take this opportunity to speak to both the young men and the parents who are viewing this afternoon as we move into, quote unquote, the reopening of school. The Minister of Education, in her discourse with the nation, would have pointed out that schools are now available, they are now allowed to accommodate their 4th, 5th, and 6th formers. I wish to announce at this point in time, though, that none of our 4th formers are going to be coming back out to school at this time. 4th formers, we are going to be asking those 4th formers to continue engaging their teachers, and their teachers are going to continue engaging them online and as it concerns their plans for their SBAs. What was done is that each department would have supplied to the school's administration their requests, what they felt they needed to do. And at this point in time, it is not the view of any of the departments of the college that we need to have our 4th formers come out. Now, I want to address something from the onset. I want people to recognize that with each visit to the school, what you are doing is increasing your risk of contracting this virus. What we have to do, and I want to point out both to the young men and to the parents, that any principal, not just my major responsibility as the principal of Queens Royal College, any principal, according to the Education Act, your number one responsibility is that of safety. So that insofar as our 4th formers are concerned, we do not think at this time that it is necessary to expose them to the risks that are out there. It is the learned opinion of the teachers that they have sufficient time to be able to conduct those SBAs efficiently and having those young men perform at their best when they choose to engage them. That information is going to come later on. So we are going to continue the online learning for 4th formers, and teachers will continue to engage them about methodology, as it pertains to their SBAs. So that's the first point that I wish to make. Fifth and sixth formers are going to be coming out to school. Fifth form, lower sixth, and upper sixth. I want to make it abundantly clear. The opening of school does not mean that all of our fifth form and sixth form will be out simultaneously. We are, as a matter of fact, I have here, this is a complete schedule of the face-to-face sessions that are going to take place. And this schedule is going to be placed on the student portal. It is going to be placed on the parents portal so that everyone is aware when the young men are expected to be out to school, what time, what labs they are going to be doing, what SBAs they are going to be doing. And this will dictate when they come onto the compound. So this is very important. If I look at this and I remember the numbers, on one or two occasions we have like 100 and something guys who will pass through the school on a particular day. They are not going to be on the school compound simultaneously, so that we have labs that are scheduled for the morning, labs that are scheduled for the afternoon. That is going to be publicly available online, outlining when individuals are required to come to school. If you are not scheduled for a lab, you are not supposed to be in school. The guards at the guard booth will have a list of the names of individuals who are supposed to be on the compound on that day, and those are the only individuals they would be allowing onto the compound. So I just thought I'll make that clear. I know there are going to be questions which I will answer later. Let us now examine what happens as you come onto the compound. I know the young men in particular anxiously awaiting my dealing of this issue, with this particular issue. I want to remind everyone that the Minister of Education clearly spoke to the reopening of school. She clearly spoke to individuals coming to school in their school uniform. You don't have to wear your dress uniform to come to school at all. The rules of the college apply. All rules of the college apply. Therefore, cane rows or corn rows, however you want to call them, they are not allowed. If you remember, and I'm speaking here in particular to our young men, those of you who are gathered listening in, if you remember, we dealt with the issue of the length of the hair, which is not an issue anymore. So all of you young men who have grown your hair and you have your cornrows, you need over the weekend to get somebody to unplait them for you. And what you can do is to have your very high but neat afro. So individuals belonging to other ethnic groups, we also dealt with the issue of the length of the hair. That's fine. You can have your hair long. They are not to be in the bun or anything like that, and they should be neat. No earrings. All of the school rules apply. Failure to comply with these school rules simply mean that you will not be able to gain access to the compound. And I want to make that absolutely clear. Because once the Minister of Education indicated, and as she indicated, you are coming to school in your school uniform, then you represent a brand that is more than 150 years old this year. And that is something that we take very, very seriously. The protocol is going to exist. All individuals must wear a QRC mask. And let me repeat that. All individuals must wear a QRC mask. You have a choice. There is the solid blue and there is the light blue and the dark blue, which are on sale on the compound. You need to come with your QRC masks because that is part of the school uniform. You must wear a mask. You can wear a mask and a face shield. You cannot wear a face shield alone. The mask must be worn. The mask must be worn all the while that you are on the compound. And that will apply to the student population and to the other individuals that they come into contact with. The entry protocol is going to be followed. As you come in, you are expected to wash your hands. All individuals coming onto the compound are expected to wash your hands. Whether you have your hand sanitizers and you sanitize, that's not our concern. The protocol, the entry protocol that is laid out by the Ministry of Education is quite clear. All individuals coming onto the compound must wash their hands. They wash their hands, and then you are going to be guided to your particular areas. The schedule that we are going to, in fact, post will have where the classes are going to take place. All right? So those things are going to be quite clear. During the breaks, there are individuals who may be here in the morning and the afternoon. There will be that break. The MTS is going to be sanitizing the spaces that are going to be used again in the afternoon. In some instances, you will only be using a space once for the day. Those areas will be sanitized and ready for the next day. But those spaces that are going to be used in the afternoon are going to be sanitized, and individuals will be able to use those spaces. In the science area, we have also worked on those areas that are going to be sanitized by the lab assistants and the teachers, and that deals with the equipment that will be used by 2 sets of young men. So all of these things have been covered. The cafeteria is going to be open. We do have the protocol that has to be adhered to. There will be personnel, myself, the vice principal, the safety officer, and a number of other individuals who will be around during the breaks, ensuring that all protocol is followed in those spaces that are going to be used. I want to advise parents that it is wise to send your children with their own sanitizing items as well as lunches. All right, that is advisable. But for those who are unable to do so, we are aware that the ministry has contacted us for the lunches that are provided by the government. We have supplied the names, and we expect that some lunches are going to be supplied. We do not have all of the information as it applies to the lunches or the transportation that is usually provided by the maxi taxis, one coming from Sani Grande and the other for Arima as it pertains to Queen's Royal College. However, information was sought from the school, and we have provided the ministry with that information, so we await further confirmation from the Ministry of Education as to exactly what the arrangements as it applies to the lunches and to transportation will be. In the interim though, this is something that is very important. Once the young men have completed their labs, their SBAs, they are expected to vacate the compound. Parents will be allowed to come to collect their children because parents will have the schedule. You would know when the classes, the SBA, labs, etc. start, when they begin. The same protocol is going to apply. When the young men are expected to leave, they need to come to the general office for their gate passes as usual to be provided so that they will be allowed to get through the gate. Parents, you will not be allowed to park on the compound. You are not allowed to drive onto the compound to drop your sons. You are going to have to drop your sons on Hay Street as they use that particular gate, and you will not be allowed to drive onto the compound to collect them. Those young men who drive, they will be allowed to come onto the compound. They are going to have to park on the north lawn area. As soon as they come onto the compound, they are going to come around by the office there, make the left, and then go on to the north lawn area. As they disembark from their vehicles, they are going to be expected to proceed to the taps just outside of the gymnasium and wash their hands, following all the protocol, and then proceed to their classes. All right? The exit protocol is going to be very similar. We are going to have school personnel monitoring, but as we said, the numbers are not that large, so we expect that that is going to be easily controlled between the school's administration, the security guards, the safety officer, and other school personnel that will be available. I want to stress that the responsibility of ensuring that the schedule is known is that of the parent and the young men of the school. The school is going to take the responsibility of providing it in all of the spaces. Student portal, the parent portal, we are also going to have all of the important individuals within the school community having those schedules. Let me deal with an issue that I know is going to be a burning issue. There are teachers who are going to be out conducting labs and their SBAs here, and they are going to have lower school classes. The school is outfitted with Wi-Fi connectivity, and some of these teachers will be able to deal with those classes synchronously. In the instances where they are unable to do so, they have been advised both by the Ministry of Education and by the school's administration that the work is supposed to be given to the young men asynchronously. However, they are going to have access to Wi-Fi to be able to conduct synchronous classes if they so desire, and if they are so able to do. The same is going to apply to the young men. What we have advised is that we have asked many of our teachers who may be conducting classes in other subject areas that would apply to our 5th and 6th formers to have those classes taped. Once the classes are taped, then it affords the young men who are conducting the SBAs in school to be able to go back to those taped classes so that they do not miss those classes. This is an advantage of this particular period and what the pandemic has brought and what it has really forced us to go down the road of the use of the technology. And this is definitely one advantage in that you can miss a class and not miss a class because you may not be there while the class is actually taking place live, but you are able to not miss a minute of it. Now, we would have been accustomed to things like that on our package for cable, etc., so that if you miss a game, you know that you can have the game taped and you can go back and you can see every minute of that particular game. While it will not be live, you are not going to miss any of the action. And we are adopting that same type of approach as it applies to our classes. When that is not possible at all, what we will be working on is to have perhaps the gymnasium area organized so that young men will be able to go into those areas, access the Wi-Fi, and go on to classes if they need to. All right? I want to stress again, though, that we are urging parents to ensure that those of you taking up your kids, that you take up your kids as soon as those labs and their SBAs are finished. Those individuals who are going to be traveling, we are advising parents to provide them with a note indicating that after the labs, after their SBAs, they are expected to travel. We will then give them the required gate pass that would allow them to be able to get through security. The exit protocol, we said, will be in place. We are advising individuals, all individuals who are coming with their devices and intend to log on, to ensure that you have headphones. Because what we will be able to do is to provide a general space, but your headphone will allow individuals to be safely distanced with the 6 feet and not disturb the other individual next to them. So parents, we are asking if they're coming in and they do have to log on to a live class, they must come with their earphones. That way they can plug their earphones into their device, listen and follow the classes, and the person 6 feet can do the same thing and they can coexist harmoniously. That is very important. We are going to be renting a tent. Donations will be accepted because that is going to cost us in the vicinity of about $8,000, but we do recognize the importance of renting a tent, which we are going to use as a holding bay. The temperature is going to be taken at the gate, and any individuals who are coming in and above the temperature, they are going to go into the tent, be allowed to cool off, the temperature will then be taken, and then the determining factor would be decided upon whether they gain entry to the compound or not. A sick bay is also set up. We are looking very, what we've decided is that the area in the Pan Theater is going to be used as our sick bay. I want to take, again, this opportunity to remind parents, please, if your son is ill, do not send your child to school. The guidelines for the reopening of schools, the new normal, that clearly outlines the responsibilities of the principal, the Ministry of Education, the staff, the teachers, the parents, and the students. We are going to be using our PA system throughout the day to throw gentle reminders to our young men to adhere to the protocol, the expected protocol, to wash their hands, to keep safe distances. We have also urged all of the personnel on the compound to act as watchdogs, to assist us in monitoring these young men. And I want to take this opportunity to make a very important point. That includes our MTS personnel, etc. I do not expect, say for example, a member of our MTS staff speaking to one of our students, and the attitude of that student is that that person is not a teacher and does not have the authority to speak to them. I remind you that school is in progress, and all of the disciplinary actions that come with school will be adhered to. Any individual bringing the school into disrepute and not following the school rules will be dealt with accordingly. All right? During this time, it is my hope that we would learn from this particular experience and we are going to emerge as different human beings. So, these, in the main, gives us an idea of what is going to take place. So I think I've provided a general framework. I will like to spend most of the time answering the questions posed by the parents. So I think that framework is good enough, and then we can get into the questions.
Thank you very much for that clear and precise layout. So one of the questions that has been asked by one of the parents is, what is expected of me as a parent to ensure the safety and well-being of my son at this time with the opening of physical school?
Well, I think that's a very nice place to begin. I think that parents need to follow the guidelines of the Ministry of Education. The very first thing that I hope is already taking place and has been taking place for quite a while is the education process. Talking to your sons about what the expectations are, what is expected of them. And the second thing is to ensure that as a parent, you provide them with what will be necessary. That means buying the school's masks, ensuring that each and every one of them, when they leave home, wear that particular mask, providing them with hand sanitizers that they can use on their way to school if they do have to travel, and just ensuring if you have to pick them up, you are there on time. ensure that they get to school on time, and just driving home, that which the Ministry of Health has been banging into our heads for almost a year now. I think those responsibilities are clear, and if parents adhere to the major responsibility of educating their charges, then I think it is going to make our job a little easier, because we recognize that we also have that responsibility. So during the day, there are signs that we have already up. We are going to be adding some more signs, and then during the day we are going to do regular announcements, just reminding individuals of the social distances, the need to wash your hands, and just general hygiene practices.
The next question we have, what is the student capacity per classroom that can facilitate and allow for social distancing effectively? And what is the maximum number of students per class per day?
Right. Again, if we use our matrix and when we look at what is taking place, we are going with, in our spaces, about 15 individuals that we are going to be having in the general spaces. Now, that was an issue when they were talking about larger numbers coming out. But with the numbers that we have now and the spaces that we do have available in our labs, we can safely have, following the guidelines, 15, maybe even 16, sometimes 17 individuals in some of our larger classes, safely distanced 6 feet apart on any given day. Now remember, as I said earlier, the numbers may reach as many as 100, just over 100 on any given day, but they are not going to be there simultaneously. We are sometimes talking about different groups doing their labs and their SBAs, and they will be not in school all together. So that is not a major problem, because we have skewed the numbers in our favor even more because our fourth formers are not coming out. So all we have to deal with would be our fifth and sixth formers, and we have more than enough space to be able to do that. We will be using the general area down to the southern end of the compound, the prefabs, as well as that area down by science. A lot of use will also go to some of our larger spaces in the main building, the Form 1 classrooms upstairs, and the TD room, which is a very large AC room upstairs in the North Block.
And for the boys, the young men who are coming out in Form 5 and Form 6, what would their school hours be? Will it remain at 7:30 to 2 p.m. or will that change based on the schedule?
Well, their school hours will go according to the schedule that we are going to supply them with. So it wouldn't even be 7:40. Now the normal operating hours of school will apply. That would be 7:40 and we end at 2. But if I can just pull, let's say on Monday the 8th, we have a group coming out and their time is from 9 till 1. All right, so they don't have to be here at 7:40 in the morning. That is the first group that is coming out on Monday the 8th of February. They go from 9 till 1. And then you have another group that comes from 10 to 11:20. So parents need to pay close attention to the schedule that is going to be provided to them, because that is going to dictate when their sons are expected to be in school and for how long.
Following that question, what will be the frequency and duration of the physical class when they're here within that period?
It can vary. We for some of your science labs, for example, it could be as long a particular lab could be conducted, and that could take 2 hours, 2.5 hours. All right, which would be the longest. And then most of the shorter ones, we're looking at an hour time frame. So it can be anywhere between an hour and 2.5 hours. But as I said, your schedule clearly and detailed worked out schedule will indicate the duration of the period that your sons have to be at school.
Right. Are students required to attend class all 5 days per week, or will it be only on a necessity basis?
Only on a necessity basis as dictated by the schedule.
A parent is asking just for concern. For the practicals, example, the labs and PE, how would you manage the face-to-face or the physical distancing in PE, one of those?
The PE teachers are going to maintain the expectations that are outlined in terms of the protocol. We will also have, when they are outside in the field, on the field, we are setting up a station where we have our hand sanitizers and everything. There are sinks throughout the entire school now. I know that many individuals have not been out to the physical space, so they may not be aware, but the hand washing is very, very important, the wearing of the mask, all of these things. We are going to be expecting our students and our teachers to adhere to the policies outlined. And once we do that, then we expect that we will be able, as best as we possibly can, to guarantee their safety.
If I refuse to send my son to physical school, is it mandatory?
Well, I would say that a parent has to think about what happens, because remember, if the SBA has to be done, the SBA is the reason why the ministry is attempting to do this, is because there's a recognition that these SBAs have to be done in the labs. Now, if you deny your son, it's your right, so it's not mandatory. From the school's perspective, it is, if the child has to conduct the lab. But remember, as a parent, you have the overriding vote, so to speak. If you don't send your son to school, though, be aware of what the consequences are going to be, because it would mean that your son will be unable to complete the lab, and the teacher is going to have to present the data which says that student X did not send up a lab, and then that is in the hands of CXC, not Queen's Royal College. So the answer to that will be, no, it's not mandatory, but it is highly advisable if you wish that the consequences are not going to be that your son runs the risk of failing the particular subject.
Okay. Understood. In terms of hand sanitizers and soap, does the school have sufficient wash bay and soaps for students? And if so, are they placed in strategic locations for easy access for young men?
The answer to that is yes. I'll not waste any time on that. The answer to that is yes, but I also want to suggest, and I've been saying it throughout, parents, one of the first questions that you asked me is, what can the parents do? Send your children with as well, especially those children who are not going to be picked up, who are going to be traveling. They will need to have their packs with their soap and their hand sanitizers and that stuff. But insofar as the school, yes, we have supplies.
And the last question for our pre-questions. Have the school increased its technical infrastructure as it specifically relates to the wireless technology, Wi-Fi, to facilitate blended learning?
Again, the simple answer to that would be yes. During the time that we have been away, we have gone through a lot of pains to revamp the wireless system. However, I want to say though that the wireless system, we're working on revamping it, just going through the final stages right now. So it has been revamped, but it has not been pressure tested, because we have had 15, 20 people on the compound using it. We are going to get a much clearer idea with the reopening of schools with larger numbers coming in, and then we will get the best idea as to how resilient our system is going to be when everybody returns. But yes, we feel very confident that with the numbers that we are going to be entertaining on any given day, that the revamped system is going to work very efficiently. But I will hold my judgment on how good it is going to work with whole school until we face that pressure test.
So we now open the floor to questions online from our QRC parents. So we have a question here. A parent is asking, can the student come with their own mask on day one and purchase school masks when they get there?
The office is open now, and it will be open for the rest of the week. My answer to that question is they are supposed to come with their QRC masks. That is going to be opening an entire Pandora's box, which I don't want to do. Because what is going to be said is that the principal said that they could come with the masks. It is my expectation that when they enter the school compound, that they have their masks. In fact, we have been saying this for the longest while. Even when you interviewed me and we went through this, and I said that individuals need to have their QRC masks. But in the typical Trinidad fashion, we are going to wait to the last minute to be able to procure those things. My expectation is that when they walk into the compound, they are wearing their proper uniform.
So please purchase your mask. The school is open. You can come in to purchase your branded QRC face mask. For the boys that will be traveling and their names are not on the list for the government's transportation, can their names be added to the list to avoid traveling amongst John public?
Certainly from our perspective, once names can be added, they will be added. But I want to urge parents, when we get into issues like maxi taxis and the lunches, the school has no say where those things are concerned. So I will urge parents, once it is possible to make your own arrangements, your own traveling arrangements, do not depend on the maxis and that sort of thing. However, we see that there is a distinct possibility to add names and to facilitate boys, because remember, individuals are not going to be here simultaneously. So the maxis are going to tend to come down in the morning and then be around later in the afternoon. Of course, I don't know if it's a question, but let me just answer it one time. There may be individuals who can't leave, they have to wait. The principal will be around until after 2. Those boys will be, no student is going to be run off of the compound. Having said that though, that does not mean that at 5 or 6 o'clock parents are now driving in to collect their sons. In that instance, what I am going to do is to escort their sons to the nearest police station, which is Sinclair Police Station, and they'll be able to collect their sons at Sinclair Police Station.
Understand. What size of tent would you need for the polling?
We are looking at a 20 by 20. We have more or less procured the services of the tent because we had to make those arrangements, and it's in the vicinity of about $8,000 that we are being told there, because we are renting it, of course, for the rest of the term, because it's going to be in use every single day. Well, we hope it's not going to be in use, but it's going to be there available for the boys. We know that sometimes, because some of the boys may have to walk up, the temperature may be a bit elevated, and once they sit and relax, then it's going to go down to the normal. So we do need to make them as comfortable as possible. You never know, rain may be drizzling, etc. We want to make them as comfortable as we possibly can.
Will there be attendance at school for the boys taking visual arts to use the art room, etc.?
The visual arts is scheduled as part, because they do have SBAs, and they are scheduled as part of the face-to-face sessions with their teacher, yes.
Now,
once they are in 5th or 6th form.
Correct. So this question here, for Form 4s, we know they're not coming out right now, but they want to know, when will they be coming out?
Their guess is as good as mine because I don't know what is going to happen with the pandemic. But I want our performers to rest assured. QRC has an excellent track record vis-a-vis our SBAs. SBAs are moderated by external moderators, well, not individuals within the school, and QRC has never had an issue with those. So we are not taking a chance with our performers. This decision has been made by professionals who know what they're doing, who know what the time frame will be. I don't know how long this is going to continue. If this pandemic rages on, then it may be that we are going to have to engage our performers in that particular way. But it is our hope, and I feel that we are drawing closer to the end of this particular experience. So we hope that our young men will be able to come out when the rest of school is returning, and then they will be able to continue with their SDAs.
Now, at the college, we are always open to receiving donations. So those who are asking if we are accepting donations for soap and hand sanitizers, the answer is yes. I do have to ask Mr. Simon that one.
And in any case, even if we may have soap and hand sanitizers, the donations then could be used to pay for things like the tent. And we do need to get some other sanitizing agents, because like for example in the science lab, just to make sure that between the labs we are purchasing some rubbing alcohol that we are going to use to sanitize the equipment that they're going to be using. So yes, all donations will be welcome for us to be able to ensure the safety of all who use the compound.
Another parent is asking, when can we see the schedule for parents to know what is
The schedule is going to be made available to all parents on Friday and students on Friday. All right, the schedule is completed. What we want to do is to send them back to all departments so that the teachers could vet them, and then once that is sent, we are going to have that available on the student portal, as we said, the teachers portal, and on the parents portal. So it's going to be available for everyone on Friday.
Our QRC parents, do we have any other questions for Mr. Simon? Okay. So at this time, we will now conclude our discussion this evening. Mr. Simon, thank you. And can we have your closing remarks?
Well, I really do want to say to the entire QRC community, and I do wish to start at the top. I would like to begin by thanking my vice principal and the staff of Queen's Royal College. I think that this has been a very challenging time. And the staff of QRC has responded wonderfully well to what are obviously very, very difficult times that we have been thrown in the deep end. But I think that we have done quite well as a staff, and I would like to take this opportunity to say how proud I am of the staff of Queen's Royal College. By no means am I going to sit here and pretend that we have not had our challenges. We've had some challenges as it applies to some of our teachers, but I think that applies across the board in no matter what industry you want to look at. Generally, our teachers have responded quite well, and I want to take this opportunity to publicly thank my vice principal, Mr. Mohammed, and the entire staff of Queen's Royal College, the management team, for the support that they provide me with on a daily basis, so I don't always feel isolated. So I wish to take this opportunity. And I also would like to take the opportunity to thank the parent body. I think you all have done a wonderful job as well in being patient in being understanding, in being supportive. That is necessary at this time. And yes, we have had one or two unreasonable parents. But as I said, even with our teachers where we've had challenges, that is to be expected. Generally, again, our parent body has been wonderful, and the organizations associated to the parent body, like the PTA, has done a remarkable job in assisting the college in ensuring that this online experience is an experience that we can be proud of and we will continue to learn from. And I want to also really champion the generals of this whole experience, which would be the young men of Queen's Royal College. I don't know when I was going to school how I would have reacted if a year had been taken away from me. No matter what we see, it's all well and good for us to talk about positivity and what the opportunities, all of those things are true. But there is absolutely nothing that can replace these young men coming out to school. I feel the pain for first formers who started first form and had just a term and something. I feel it for these new first formers who have come in for fourth, fifth, sixth form at every level. But generally, these young men have responded quite well. The experience is going to be something that they will never ever forget. And they will not understand at this point how it's going to make them into better individuals and better men. And I am not sitting here attempting to explain that to them, because I know the pain of having that face-to-face with their friends, of this lost year. It is something that is difficult to bear. So I really do want to say to you, gentlemen, be patient. You have done well. The only way that you are going to be able to truly enjoy life is if you are alive. And that is your main objective right now. Because you see, once you are alive, then anything is possible. And I think the greatness that runs through your veins that greatness will be able to come to the fore with time. So just continue to be patient, trust in your parents, trust in your school, and trust in the leadership of our country and the world, even the World Health Organization, as they work towards the vaccine. Be patient. We are going to get through this together, alive. Remember, bene supere se. Survive and prosper. That will be my message to the school community.
Thank you so very much. Parents, we play a major role in the development of our children. We have adapted, some are still adapting, but we are resilient people, and we must help them through this season. Teachers will continue to do their best to utilize whatever resources they have to stay connected with their students. Mr. Simon, thank you again for your time to sit and speak with us. Communication is very, very important, and you've always availed yourself to us. We thank you.
You're welcome.
To our Vice Principal, our QRC teachers, and support staff, we do appreciate your time and dedication in getting the job done. Even with all the challenges that we face at this time, we know that you have our Blue Bloods' best interests in heart, and we, the parents, will partner with you to ensure we all succeed. To our QRC parent family, thank you very much for your time to listen and participate in this forum. You are a major stakeholder, and your input is always important. On another note, the QRC PTA will be having their first fundraiser for 2021, and it is called Valentine's Cupcake Sale at the Q. It is scheduled for next Friday, the 12th of February, from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. The cost is $60 per box of 6. Flavors include pina colada, triple chocolate and red velvet. Orders close on Monday, the 8th of February. Stay tuned to the different mediums of communication for more information on the fundraiser. On behalf of the PTA executive, I do hope you were able to answer as much questions as possible to alleviate some of your fears and concerns. In this season, we await further guidelines from the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health. Remember, we are in an unprecedented time and things are not normal. So therefore, we ask for your patience and your commitment as we roll out the new measures for physical and blended learning. The date of our next online meeting will be posted via the core groups. Once again, thank you and please stay safe. Mr. Simon, in one of your addresses to the young men, you left them with some words of encouragement from one of our local entertainers. I think it's appropriate that we end on this positive note. Remember the song, Aaron?
Yes, I do. It was Better Days by Patrice Roberts. Patrice Roberts is very close to my heart because I was born in Granivere, Togo. She is also from Togo, so she is definitely one of my favorite artists. So by all means, I can look and have that song.
Days are coming, change your ways. For this moment, pass you by and remain the same. Better days are coming, change your ways. For this moment, pass you by and remain the same. Hey, what we gonna do now? There's no panorama. Hey, we can jump up and play my in the savannah. Hey, just be patient, hold me straight.
Thank you and have a good evening, everyone.
For this moment, pass you by and remain the same. Better days are coming, change your ways. For this moment, pass you by and remain the same. Let them know I don't have no time for no drama. Misperforming on stage, I'm singing the song.
You're welcome. Thank you.